All right.
Are we up and running?
We start.
We are up and running.
Everyone has their lunch, coffees, water.
Yeah, I
Hopefully.
actually also still have some coffee, so that's good.
All right. I think we will start then. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. Just to briefly introduce myself, my name's Sophie, and I'm part of Urban Impact as well. And as Dominic has already mentioned, that we are live streaming not from our headquarters in Berlin, but from Tionite's headquarters in Poland. And just one general thing before we start, feel free to put any questions into the chat and we will try to answer them as quickly as possible. So today we'll be talking about the topic of cities of future, flying cars, or improved public procurement. And after shortly introducing ourselves, we will talk about the challenges of procurement for startups, and then also have a look into CityOpps, which is a platform with real-time notification service for opportunities all around the world. But first of all, I would like to welcome you guys, Dominic and Jonas, who I work with, and then also later Robert and Michał from Tionite. But Dominic and Jonas, maybe you would like to tell us a bit more about Urban Impact first and about the current work that we're doing.
Sure. Shall I start?
Sure.
So, for those of you who don't know us, we are a tech agency based in Berlin. We work in entire Europe, and what's quite unique is that we bring two worlds with each other. So, I worked for the last couple of years in the venture capital industry with tech startups. Jonas, my co-founder, brings the whole city policies experience on board, and we try to bring those two worlds together because we see the immense value of people talking to each other from unusual places, like connecting people from the city with venture capital industry, with startups, and this is what we do every day. We work with those different agents to make the impactful innovation actually happen in the cities.
Awesome. And Jonas, just one brief question. Let's talk about the topic of the day, flying cars or public procurement. What do you think is going to shape our cities in the future?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's got to be both of it, but I think why we also picked the title is to stress a little bit the discrepancy in a sense, because often when we think of the city of the future, we do picture things like that we've seen in movies like flying cars or, robots on the street and, completely automated city in a way, completely like, visionary in the sense. But much often, or at least what Dominic and I and we see in our work every day with startups on the ground, it's more like, sometimes disruptive change, but often also like incremental change. So they're taking like a very specific problem that they are trying to solve, and they are in a way, trying to really figure out the hurdles in how to collaborate with the city more successfully, and how do you actually get into cities in a sense, which is really not that easy when you think about it. So if in terms of like if we look at impact, it's certainly, especially in the short to middle like medium term, there's so much we can do in having like startups and cities work better together. So improve the sense of like public procurement, innovative procurement, but of course probably at some point we'll also enjoy riding around in cities and flying cars. But for now, definitely it would be public procurement.
All right. Thank you very much. And also, because you were talking about CityOpps as like an idea, maybe Dominic, you can say something about the idea and then how it kind of like moved on from the idea to finding someone to actually like bring it to life with.
Yeah. So the idea of CityOpps was with us the moment that Urban Impact was born, actually, because when we work with startups, matching with cities with actual business opportunities was something that we did manually, and we imagined with Jonas that if we could scale this, it would be so much better, right? If we could give this possibility to more people at the same time with technology, that it should definitely happen. From the idea to actually the product being live 2 weeks ago, It was meeting with Tionite which did the difference. So we've knew the guys for quite a while. What was different and exceptional is there are not many people that have such long experience in the venture building, right? They are quite humble guys, right? But they spent last decade building amazing ventures. And when we've met and talked about CityOpps, and Michał will join us later to tell a little bit more of the story, it clicked right away, right? So the decisive factor of why the idea was brought to the product was the partnership, was the magic of meeting people and actually doing something together.
And maybe just to add one last thought on this, why we felt it was so urgent to create something like CityOpps is actually it's so simple, it's not something like some incredibly complicated idea, but the simple realization that we had working over and over with cities and working over and over with startups is they don't know how to find each other, because especially in Europe, the market is so fragmented. Every city does their own thing. There are millions of different portals out there. And this is why it's so hard for startups, even if they have a really good solution, that helps make your city more attractive, save money, save energy, make it more sustainable. They don't get it implemented as quickly as they possibly could, because they don't even know where is the city that is currently looking for something like this, because we don't really in Europe have a European single market for urban innovation. And I think it was specifically that realization where we said, it's crazy, the European Commission should be doing it, but they are not. So, let's try to have a little contribution towards this, because we know and we work already with a lot of those stakeholders and actually bring more transparency in the market. And that was the very basic idea.
And all of this sounds really convincing, and you definitely convinced Tionite on partnering then. And so Robert and Michał, we're really happy to have you on this lunch session too.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey. So
I'm Robert. He's Michał.
Hey guys.
Hello.
So good
Thanks
to
for
see
joining
you.
us.
Yeah, thank you for
It's
giving
amazing
us
you
this
came to
amazing.
Szczecin.
Enjoy our office. Enjoy our private museum of computers.
Yeah,
Lovely.
maybe 2 words to
Yeah.
the private museum.
Yeah,
What do
so
we
this is an actual our private museum. So anyone who will join, who can come to Szczecin, can see some really old stuff like Apple II, some PDA, some Casio, some Psions, and so on. So yeah, that's it.
Amazing. So you guys have long years of experience in venture building, and Robert, maybe you would like to share a few insights on that.
So when we started to build our company, and we have experience in software business of 20 years plus, we actually knew that a lot of our partners seek a little bit more than just a reassurance that the project will be delivered with the time, with the budget, and with the proper technology and the quality. And that assurance can be done by actually partnering, not just saying that we are partners, but actually building the thing together. So that's what we are doing with CityOpps. We've also invested in CityOpps as well, not just build it. So that's actually what we do. This is our, I think, around 10th venture, and this makes all the difference when we are an actual partner and not just let's say the term of partner, which is sometimes misused. So that's we've heard it a lot of time from a lot of our, let's say, clients, partners, and we are actually doing this for quite some time.
Thank you. Michał, maybe you would like to elaborate on the project of CityOpps.
Yeah, so the idea, the first time I've heard the idea was when I met with Dominic in Berlin. We were, meeting for a coffee, and we were discussing
2 years
ago, yeah, and discussing what has happened in Dominic's life and my life. And Dominic mentioned this idea of urban impact at first, and then the whole array of ventures that they want to build, and CityOpps is one of them. And it convinced me right away, because I was building products and projects for cities for 10 years already, and this idea of matching startups with the cities immediately resonated with me. So this convinced me on one part, but the second part was the passion with which Dominic and Jonas started to explain it to me, and encouraged to invest our time and money into this venture. And then half year later, we are here together as
On the
partners
launch.
in a company on the launch of the product that works, right? So that's amazing.
Maybe
It
you
is.
guys want to share a few insights on that as well.
Yeah, for me, exactly this, the speed, like, how from this first meeting, like this was the initial meeting of the update, but actually when we started to talk about CityOpps concretely was not so long ago. It was like the whole product was built in 6 months, right? Like around that, which is to me like amazing, unbelievable even that we were able to get through so much of product development, business development in such a short time. So it's quite amazing, and it says a lot about the partnership. To be honest, it shouldn't be too much of a sweet talk, I guess.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
actually, that's true, right? That you have to communicate with people. You always work with people, so it's all about this, right? At the
Yeah, I
end of
remember
the day.
when we are sitting together in factory building and sketching on the pages how it should look,
But-
how to achieve it.
I would also add here, I think what is really important, we mentioned it like a few times, trust. I think is first of all was important there was this existing relationship with Tiernite between also Dominic and Michał, but also like seeing that there has been track record and actually it's made our collaboration so efficient and so quick because yes, from actually making the decision, okay, let's jump into this 6 months ago, the product, the MVP that you see online right now on ops.city, it's been built in like effectively 2 months. Which is I've been spent many years working also on similar platforms and developing this in the past, and that was exceptionally quick. It went exceptionally well, exactly because we also knew we could trust you guys, and we were in it together. And I think that's definitely a big plus of this collaboration.
Enough about us. Let's talk about the platform.
Yeah, I was about to say. So now we've all talked about the amazing partnership and the idea behind it. But Jonas, maybe you can tell us what exactly will be, or who exactly will be the users of the platform, and what's in it for them.
Sure. So probably most of you have seen it by now if you go to ops.city, if you haven't. So right now what you can see is effectively like an aggregation of different opportunities across Europe, mostly, but then also like beyond, of different types of opportunities. So when we talk to startups, usually they look for business development. Depending on the stage in which they're in, this might be in the beginning to get some visibility, it might be awards, it might also be challenges, which could be published by cities or by corporates, for instance, but then also looking more into like grants from federal ministries, for instance, or European bodies, as well as public tenders. And those are all the different opportunity types, as we call them on the platform, which startups find right now in one place. And one of the biggest value for them, for example, is that you can set your own keyword, your own search term, almost like a Google alert, and sort of like activate it and get real-time notification. So if for the first time, they don't have to, they were always telling us, well, we subscribe to 100 newsletters, we spend loads and loads of hours on LinkedIn, and sometimes randomly get an email forwarded. And the whole idea of CityOpps is actually to make it systematic. So you don't have to leave it to chance anymore, your business development. And I think that's also in terms of impact, that's like the biggest value. Apart from the startups, we actually have two main other customer segments in the sense, or user segments. One is for the cities, I briefly mentioned it. They have actually an obligation when they spend our taxpayers' money to find, know what is the current state of technology, know what are the upsides, the downsides, what should be the right criteria when formulating, for instance, such a public tender or challenge, and be informed, simple as that. And CityOpps can actually help them, knowing who is doing what. This will also be beyond the MVP that is currently online, one of the next steps of development, to actually give them that platform to reach the right providers, in the sense, to address their challenge. And the third one is actually for community organizers. So all these accelerators, incubator spaces, it's a great tool for them to make sure all their portfolio startups, they can actually also develop an added value, and also if they have a challenge themselves, to promote it on CityOpps to get more visibility and hence better quality of submissions.
Did you guys mention that if we are live, people can ask comments?
Yes.
So, okay.
So if you have any questions concerning CityOps or TUnite or Urban Impact, feel free to just put them in the comments and we will immediately answer them.
And we'll be super excited to have your live feedback here, because honestly, it's also our first live session, and I think this was one of the things inspiring us most or motivating us most to get your direct feedback here on CityOps, and we have some time also towards the end, right?
I will post the link to the website also in the comments. Thank you so much for just explaining what CityOps really stands for. Maybe on the venture building side again, Robert and Michal, what are learnings or success factors for a new venture in your opinion?
The things that I want to say, it's cliche because it's always the team, the people, and so on. But what is important in terms of venture building is that you actually need to find an actual venture builder, because when you want to do a product or a project, it's completely different than making a venture. And we've been doing ventures. We started the company and we haven't named it, let's say, venture building. We said always that we were a software house, but we explained to our clients you have the diversity or the possibility to do a project or to do a joint venture. And that makes all the difference, because building a project is one thing, building a product is another thing, but building a venture is completely another thing. And as always, when you want to have experienced partners in either of those categories, in terms of building a venture, you need a venture builder.
That's true. Would you like to add something to that?
I was thinking about one thing that amazed me in this process when we were discussing and working with Dominic and with Jonas on CityOps, and it's the dynamic relationship that built between us when we were discussing the business ideas, how to roll them out. And I remember these points where we were pushing for building it versus testing it with the mock-ups and so on. We push, okay, let's build the first MVP that will work and will deliver to the market. So I think that this experience was quite important in this case, and this is something that we all also learned in this process, that we as a venture builder sometimes should push the founders, the idea creators forward to make it real.
And what is important also to mention for sure, that the CityOps as an MVP right now is just an MVP. It will be hopefully a long-term venture of ours, and we'll be expanding and we'll have a lot of new features and so on, because what you see right now is a product that's actually working, but it's not. It's just the beginning.
And what you probably don't see is the business side, which Dominic and Jonas are leading and pushing forward, which is also very important part, to have such partners that understand this relation and we can track the technology and bring the product to the market, but someone needs to push it to the market and deliver to the people, to the customers and so on.
Maybe
and this
maybe on that you guys maybe want to share a few thoughts. Maybe what are the challenges?
So for me the first challenge actually was this connection, right? Because we feel quite comfortable in working with tech and how to make it happen in the business world, but to be really close to how this engine is produced is a completely different story, right? And how to actually be the product owner, this is something that Jonas took the heavy lifting of. But for me, even working with Jiras and Confluences and all those things was actually a new experience, right? How to lead the production of software. This was something which was extremely interesting, right? So for me, this was at the beginning a challenge, right? It was something new, but also very exciting, to be honest.
Yeah, I think also, many of you have heard the whole shebang about MVPs, but I think in terms of this is what TUnite, really, you guys really helped us push us to, not be too perfectionistic in a sense, and just put it out there, really trying. So to give you one example, we the moment we actually built the tech infrastructure, we right away focused on getting the curatorial process right, so getting as many opportunities as possible on there, connecting it, for instance, to the European tender portal, making doing all the heavy lifting in terms of building these filters which allow us to find only those use cases, only those tenders that are relevant for innovation in cities, like urban tech, energy, mobility topics, and so on. And then the moment we nailed that process, literally the next day, we launched actually with our first test users, right? Mostly startups we were already working with, but then very soon also we built a partnership with the European or with the International Green Tech Alliance, who are, by the way, doing an awesome job of promoting or helping also green tech startups in times of COVID. But right away we had like our first 30 startups using it, and that was even before we did the public launch earlier this month. So that was great to get this quick turnaround, always this quick feedback, and in terms of you guys pushing us, where we have a lot of things to deal with, but always like, you know, not letting go and keeping the pressure up. That was very, very helpful.
We did our part. Now it's the viewers or the users' part to tell us what we did right and what we did wrong and what we should do next.
Definitely.
So this is the thing that I wanted to mention to all of you watching right now or later on.
And I think I would just like to add more to the sources that Jonas just also briefly mentioned, because it's quite important. We often get the question, okay, so crawlers, right? How is it innovative? There is much more to this, which we probably doesn't make sense to elaborate now technically, but there is one quite important issue, a very basic one as well, to know where to look, right? It's the issue that also the people who work in those urban tech startups struggle with, right? It's like those business developers, sometimes they don't know this. So on the business side, what I think it's quite important that we bring is this knowledge of smart cities, right? It's quite crucial also that we know where to look for those sources. We know what is crucial, what is not, what actually would be really important for an urban tech entrepreneur, and what he or she can for now disregard, right? So this comes a little bit with years of experience and working in this industry, which can translate into the product at the end of the day.
Cool.
All right. I'm gonna see if there are questions in the chat.
I think we didn't we didn't share the live video on the actual event, and I don't know that everybody sees them. So yeah. Maybe if you have some questions on the CityOpps page, there's this address, CityOpps at ops.city. You can reach the guys there and ask a few questions about CityOpps platform over there.
Exactly. Otherwise, if you watch this and it's not live anymore, you can always contact us at hello@urbanimpact.eu, sorry. And just here to reach out to us or to Tionite. All right. Then I would say thank you very much, guys, for joining us. Thank you guys very much for joining us for this lunch session. I hope you enjoyed your lunch and our short talk. And last but not least, Robert, we have one last question to you. And also to you, Michal. Why should people come to Stettin? Sorry, I'm always pronouncing it wrong.
Stettin. So why not? Berlin is 1.5 hour drive, depending what's your speed, let's say. So it's really, really near, and it's really, really cool. And from the tech point of view, it's perfect to do. What do you?
Stettin is so close to the startup capital of Europe, like Berlin, that it's very tempting to leverage the possibilities that lie in Stettin, like our company. Come here to just talk and have a coffee and go back.
All right.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah,
Guys,
thank you very much.
so much for hosting us.
For coming.
Yeah.
See you guys next time.
And if you're interested, you should definitely have a look at CityOpps, so it's ops.city, and definitely check out Tionite's amazing work.
See you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.